That's my daughter, Shay. She died on December 26th of 2014. She had injured her foot when she was 16 years old in running track. And she went to a doctor and said, it feels like there's a small ball in my foot, and every time I walk or I run, I feel pain. Well, they diagnosed that, for the most part, that she was imagining it. They did X-rays. They said there's nothing there. There's no bone problems. They even at one point, because she was pulling her toes in to get the weight off of her foot, they put pins in her toes so that she'd have to put weight on the foot, and it made it even more miserable. We went to a total of 15 doctors over a period of 13 years, and they never came up with any conclusion. And then the 15th doctor asked the question, have you ever had an MRI? And we said, what's an MRI? He said, well, an X-ray sees bones and hard tissue, and if you have a soft tissue problem, the X-ray won't see it, and that's why the other doctors haven't seen it. So as it was a soft tissue sarcoma, and they decided they had to amputate her leg at mid-calf in order for her to survive at least another 6 months. Eventually, the cancer took over her body and she died. Why is this important? Because I went to chatgpt this morning, and I want to share with you what they told me.
Best of Us Investors presents Kerry Griegmeyer.
Okay, this was my entry page for ChatGPT, and as you can see, here's what I wrote. I'm a 16-year-old female. I injured my left foot running cross-country 2 years ago. It feels like there's a small ball in the arch of my foot, which causes me pain when I walk. I have been to several doctors, podiatrists, and they tell me that they can't find anything, and that through X-ray and the probing, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing that they could find in my foot. What would you suggest my next step be? As you can see, he gives me a consolatory paragraph and then says, here's some suggestions. The first suggestion was seek a second opinion. The reality is we sought multiple opinions over a period, as I said, of 13 years, we sought 15 opinions. Look what the second recommendation was. Consider getting an MRI. While X-rays can be useful for identifying bone-related tissue or conditions, an MRI provides a more detailed picture of the soft tissue injuries that may not show up on an X-ray. It might be worth discussing this with your doctor, whether an MRI could be helpful to diagnose the source of your pain. My daughter would be alive today if ChatGPT was available back when she first was being diagnosed for the problem in her foot. I just wonder how many other people don't have a clue, and they're going to doctors who even have a less of a clue. This is why you need to invest in the companies that I'm sharing with you that are going to make ChatGPT into a commercial product that is going to access the data from the history and put it in front of you. Now, what I would like to see is beyond that, and I'll talk to you more about that. What I see going forward is that these 10 companies, and probably 10 more, will empower me, will empower you to help us make better healthcare decisions, better financial decisions, better automobile decisions, because it will put at our disposal all the data that we need. What I'm hesitant about, and I want to happen, is that my daughter's story also becomes a part of that database, such that other people can live because her story rings true to them and says, yes, an MRI is what I need to do. Is that possible? Yeah, because it's all in her medical records. There is no depository right now of all the medical records of the world. Oracle is working on it. Larry Ellison has made it a goal of his. He's the CEO of Oracle. But I think if you can see that there will be some resistance, you have an industry, a $4.3 trillion industry. And in that industry, you have some of the wealthiest people in the world, owners of hospitals and owners of medical facilities. And they don't want to have you have another way to get diagnosis. Assume that, in fact, that diagnosis is one half of that $4.3 trillion, and then implementation of that diagnosis is the other part of it. Think of it as you go into the doctor or into the clinic and you have a good, sound idea of what needs to be done, what tests need to be done, and you eliminate 50% of the people in that realm. That's not exciting to the medical industry. It's not exciting to the employees. But the reality is this data is there. I keep going back to my BMW. I have a key fob for my BMW. I walk in to the BMW desk, and there's a clerk, and he says, give me your key fob. I put it in, and he says, tell me your story. What is it you're here for? And I say, well, I'm hearing some noise in the front brakes of my car, and it concerns me. And he looks into the fob, he types some things into the computer, and he says, based on your model and your year, we have 2% of the cars that are reporting something similar to this, and it turns out to be a wishbone. Okay. They know of all the cars like mine, what problems they're having. Do I have that same access to data for my body? No, I don't. Why? Why? Who doesn't want it to be made available to me? It will be made available to me, I am quite sure, in some form. Maybe not in the form that I want. And maybe it will not reach out and my daughter's story will save lives. I don't know. But I know from what I just did, I don't need those doctors like I did yesterday. I can find the answers myself. And with these companies working with me, I can make my daughter's life meaningful for the rest of my life and maybe for eternity. That's what I'm thinking about on this Easter Sunday. I hope you have a wonderful Easter Sunday. Getting over a bit of a problem. We'll talk more about that as I'm going to the doctor tomorrow. I've moved the appointment up by demanding. But we've got some tremendous times in front of us, some tremendous changes. And you need to, we're going to have some tremendous downturns. But I ask you, if because of interest rates and because of commercial loans and bad banking practices, is that going to bring down the price of Amazon, Google, Apple, Microsoft, when all this data from the medical world and chatgpt in all the aspects are being demanded? They do have to pay for it. Okay? So they're going to make astronomical profits while we have other problems elsewhere. At least that's how I see it. Not so much how my son sees it, but that's why we work as a team. I'll talk to you again tomorrow.